Simply put, our mission is simply to be the leading investment opportunity to sustainably develop resources that are critical to the rest of this world. I will be making forward-looking statements in this presentation and encourage you to read the cautionary disclaimer at your leisure. So what we have at Northisle is an enormous 50-kilometer porphyry belt that pretty much starts at this BHP Island copper mine that was in production for over 25 years. This 50-kilometer belt is underpinned by a very large copper and gold porphyry system, which is defined by a PEA that yields approximately $1.1 billion of NPV at 8%, $3.25 copper, and $16.50 gold. There is a very large gold credit to this project. Think about it as an intermediate copper project with a massive gold credit, approximately 100,000 ounces of recoverable gold a year for 22 years, with 100 billion pounds of copper for those 22 years. There is an ability to advance this project very quickly, given the infrastructure and access to these virtues that Joe has pointed out, including water. We do have excess water, obviously, up in the island. So the idea of trying to have to build a desalination plant or to try to secure water permits is much less onerous, certainly. The analogy I like to say is I'd rather have to build a water treatment plant to treat the excess water over building a desalination plant any day. Our leadership has identified this project. Our leadership comprises of individuals with over 200 years of experience collectively. We've financed, we've developed, we've found, we've operated and produced some of the largest mines in the world. And I guess most importantly, certainly as it relates to exploration activity, this is a very, very greenfields area where very little exploration over the past few years has been conducted. So we own this 50-kilometer strike length porphyry belt, which we are advancing as quickly as we can. So the investment thesis here is that you effectively get $1 billion project that underlines our company as defined by the PEA with the exploration for free. So we have a strong cash position with over $9 million, which fully finances our program for this year. The management and board have skin in the game. We own approximately 20% of the company. Michael Gentili has a strategic investor, has amassed a 9% position in the company as of recent months. The street has been very supportive of the project and the company, with 3 research analysts currently covering the company, which is a pretty incredible feat in this market and certainly for the size that we are. And we've significantly outperformed our peers. Unfortunately, the flat is the new up, and we've been flat over the last year. So the value proposition is abundantly clear. Northisle is currently trading at less than 0.1 times our net asset value as defined by the 3 research analysts. So analyst consensus, these are not our numbers, these are independent analyst consensus numbers. So to put that in perspective, again, you get a $1 billion copper and gold project as detailed in our preliminary economic assessment, and over 5 billion pounds of copper equivalent for less than $40 million today. So you get the re-rate, you get the metal price appreciation, and you get the exploration package for free. So Joe spent a lot of time talking about infrastructure, and I completely understand, because what good infrastructure does, obviously it makes the project less expensive, but also it partially immunizes you to these cost blowouts that we currently see in the industry. So we have excellent infrastructure. Our area here is defined by the gray. This 50-kilometer trend is entirely owned by us. The BHP mine there that was in production for 24 years exists on the bottom right-hand quadrant there. You've got roads. Joe was talking about getting permits for roads. Well, we have paved roads going from Port Hardy to our project, which is indicated by those two lines. Within those two lines is a network of forestry roads that's owned and operated by Western Forest Products. This area has been logged for over 50 years. We're currently in the third, fourth generation of logging. And we don't have to build a camp. Port Hardy is about a 30-minute drive along these paved roads to our property. We have two substations, one in Port Hardy, one at the Island Copper Mine. The Island Copper Mine has the closest deep sea water port from continental America to Japan, which is where BHP sold its clean copper and moly concentrate. Excuse me. And we've got one of BC's largest wind farms just to the north of us, Cape Scott Wind Farm, which produces approximately 99 megawatts of power. So this just illustrates the leverage to copper and gold prices. We did our PEA at $3.25 copper. Every 25-cent movement effectively increases the project economics by about $300 million. So at perhaps closer to today's prices, $3.50 and $1,800 gold, this project is a $1.4 billion project with a 23% IRR, which is a very high IRR for a project that has 24 years of mine life. So clearly it's a very levered project to copper and gold prices. And as I mentioned before, the access to the excellent infrastructure that we have partially immunizes us from the cost increases that we're routinely seeing for larger projects that are being developed today. So let's talk about exploration, because this is really what everyone's interested in. Forget about the fact that we're only trading at 6% of our intrinsic value. That's for free, right? The exploration is the part that everyone is interested in, given that we have such a massive porphyry district. So first off, as I said, we're fully financed for our exploration program this year. We are able to access a very favorable critical metals flow-through offering earlier this year that saw us raise at 60% premium to our back-end buyers. And we can only do that because copper is the most critical of the critical metals. So the Island Copper Mine is right there. The trend line around the 50-kilometer porphyry district is along this trend line here. You can see it is slightly displaced from the Island Copper, which is the faulting that I can talk about in a short while. But you can see the consistency of our project, which is defined by Hushima, Red Dog, that informs our billion-dollar project. And then, of course, the targets that we're focusing on right now, which is Pemberton Hills, Northwest Expo, and obviously throughout this, we've obviously targeted numbers including Goodspeed and McIntosh. So in 2022 and 2021, pardon me, there you go. The Hushima deposit is the large deposit that informs the first 24 years of our mine life. Last year and this year, we were going after infill program that is looking to extend the deposit to the southwest, in addition to, southeast, in addition to the northwest. Specifically, what we're also looking to do is targeting the expansion of the higher grade zone, which exists in the valley. This is the one that BHP had identified during their mining of the Island Copper Mine towards the west. And so what we've been doing is consistently achieving higher and higher grades as we go to the west. So for example, hole HU 2206 extended the mineralization at depth 200 meters beyond the current pit outline. And we believe that there's an opportunity to expand this in the future. So this slide shows a section illustrating the continuity of the higher grade zone that I just talked about, moving towards the south. So the drilling adjacent on either side of this zone shows grades above the cutoff grade that we had published in 2020. We believe that there is an opportunity, as I mentioned, to add tonnage and grade to the future resources. So Northwest Expo, this is the area that is just about 3 kilometers away from our project. So truckable, only a 3 kilometer distance, so very close by. So what we've confirmed at Northwest Expo is an extensive porphyry-style alteration that is across our property and is identified, particularly at Northwest Expo, within a very high-grade gold zone. So we're working to drill this out at surface and increase our understanding of how big this can get. We anticipate, I think we press released this a couple of months ago, that this year we're looking to delineate a resource that spans across approximately 500-meter strike by a 360-meter dip length. The highlight hole that is very consistent to historical drilling shows a grade of approximately 1.2 grams per ton of gold equivalent over, call it 90 meters. Within the porphyry. So for most of the geologists in the room, you can understand that this is a very significantly high-grade gold zone within a porphyry. It's approximately 2 times higher than the average grade you would find in a global porphyry. So we're clearly very excited about this. So Pemberton Hills, this is the asset that just is to the south east of our property between our project and the BHP's Island Copper project. This is our elephant hunting expedition, as it's defined by a massive lithocap alteration, about 6 by 1.5 to 2 kilometers wide. After a $4 million program that we concluded with Freeport, we have refined our thinking around how this is structured and how it exists within the system. So previously, we had anticipated that this was an upright system. Now the theory is that this is tilted towards the southeast, and we are looking to do programs including IP, surface sampling, and eventually drilling that is hoping to intersect the porphyry at its center. So here you can see the Pemberton Hills backdrop. We're looking northbound on this. And as I mentioned before, you can identify the lithocap, the alteration by this area right here. The phrase that my predecessor, Jack McClintock, who discovered Spence and put this package together, as he describes it, if this was exposed in Chile, this would be drilled like Swiss cheese. The reason why it hasn't been is because you've got a lot of top cover here and you can't actually appreciate the magnitude of this structure that's popping out of the surface. So this is something that we're going to continue to explore in earnest. So with a visual from the previous page, you can see how this leads into our updated model around the target being tilted. This is not to scale, but it gives you just a glimpse how we see this system unfolding. The surface work is being completed as we speak on the area to the right of the lithocap, where we now believe that the core of the system lies. So just to conclude, we have a lot of optionality with our projects and a number of catalysts that are coming out towards the end of this year. As I mentioned, we're looking to define and drill this higher grade gold zone within the porphyry system at Northwest Expo. We've already initiated the infill drilling and targeting the higher grade. We've established a target definition around surface exploration that expands across the 50-kilometer district. We've already initiated the Northwest Expo and Hushima metallurgical test program. And last but not least, we are continuing our First Nations relationship development such that we are able to move as quick as we can on a project that we believe is one of the most developable projects in Canada, if not the world. Thank you very much.